Namaskar, good evening. Shall I start, Vimal ji?
Yes, please.
Namaskar, good evening. On behalf of Indian section, I welcome all brothers and sisters in the book study class organized by Indian section. Let us begin the session by invoking the universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Today's speaker, Brother B.D. Tendulkar ji, will be continuing the topic Samadhi, Essential Technique of Yoga, Part 2, which is the 22nd chapter of the book Self Culture in the Light of Ancient Wisdom, written by Dr. I.K. Tamni. Although Brother is well known to senior members, but I would like to introduce him for some new members. Brother Tendulkar ji is member of Pune Lodge TS for over 40 years and former secretary of Maharashtra Theosophical Federation and ex-president of Pune Lodge, ex-editor of Theosophical bi-monthly magazine Jagrati Vishwa Bandhutva. He is national speaker of Indian section. He visited many lodges, federations for propagation of theosophy through lectures, workshops, study camps, etc. all over India. Now I request Brother Tendulkar ji, please present your talk. Respected Brother Tendulkar ji.
Thank you, Sushma ji, for your kind introduction. And I also thank Indian section, Pradeep Mahapatra ji, who is coordinating these programs, and Sushma ji and all others. We are continuing with the same topic which we dealt with in the last study session on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, particularly Samadhi as an essential technique of science of yoga or yoga sadhana. In the last lecture, I mainly dealt with the first half of the Ashtanga Yoga, we can say, the four angas, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and partly fifth also, pratyahara, which connects the bahiranga of yoga with antaranga of yoga. And we have seen that here we mainly deal with mind. In the earlier four angas, we dealt with the physical body, the etheric double, and the astral. Because unless we gain some control over these relatively external and grosser vehicles, we cannot really hope to gain control over the mental body, which is much subtler than the other outer vehicles, which are relatively grosser. So, Patanjali's Yoga Shastra is known as Raja Yoga, specifically for that, because the focus is on mind, as against other schools of yoga where the emphasis may be on relatively grosser aspects of human constitution. So let us turn to the Antaranga Yoga. As I mentioned in the last session, Antaranga Yoga consists of 3 techniques: Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. As Patanjali has mentioned, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. In one sutra, Patanjali has covered the essence of this Raja Yoga or Yoga Shastra. So, Dharana is concerned with holding the mind, which generally is not stable or steady. In fact, the whole process of Raja Yoga is to bring under control one by one each one of our vehicles. Though the foremost and the most important among them is the mind. But all these different vehicles or principles are interconnected and interdependent. Therefore, we cannot exclusively deal with only one of them. And that's why all 8 angas of the Ashtanga Yoga are of importance. And therefore, practice of these angas in a sequential order, as they are stated in the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, is desirable and is recommended also. Though it is possible for some sadhakas to start with some other technique which may not be coming first in the sequence. It may be appearing at a later stage. Like say there are some people who may not turn to Bahiranga Yoga but may directly try meditation, which involves dharana and dhyana, concentration and contemplation. This is possible, but it is not attainable by everybody. Some people may succeed in that, some may miserably fail. Why it is so? Perhaps it may be due to 2 reasons. We are not adequately familiar with the working, functioning, and nature of the vehicles. And even if we know intellectually, we have really not gained control over these vehicles. Because as we know, just as we have self-consciousness as a whole, each of our vehicles has its vehicular consciousness also. And therefore, vehicles, if they are not under control of the self, the owner of the vehicles, then vehicles may behave in their own way. So, developing this control over the vehicles is the core of the sadhana in yoga sadhana. And therefore, the other bahirangas are necessary, especially we start with yama niyama so that we gain control over our feelings, emotions, which generally disturb the mind. And with disturbed mind, it is impossible to make any progress in gaining control over the vehicles and make them work in the manner in which we desire them to work. What do we really try to achieve in this Antaranga Yoga, which consists of 3 stages: Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. In fact, though we call them by different names, they are together also referred to as Sayyama by Patanjali. So Sayyama is inclusive of these 3 angas or 3 stages, more appropriately we can say, of yoga. And among the 3, Dharana is the first step. Dharana is the concentration. So first we have to develop this ability to concentrate our mind on the object of our observation. If we succeed in this practice, then we can proceed to the next stage, dhyana. Now, what do I mean really by success in dharana? It is the preliminary stage or step in the process of controlling the mind. As we know, mind acts as a coordinator of 5 of our senses, and therefore, as we have seen already in the study of pratyahara, that the vibrations of the sensory organs, if they affect the mind, there are disturbances or modifications, which are referred to as chitta vrittis. If we can stop the effect of these vibrations received from the sense organs, we can at least ensure that there will be no vibrations affecting the mind from external sources. But still, that alone cannot ensure the stability of the mind, because there are internal factors which come in prominence in absence of external factors. We may close our eyes. We may close all our external senses, sense organs, their functioning. Yet, the mind is likely to be affected by our memories, because we are all conditioned by these internal bindings. Mind is really not free or open as we often describe it. And a conditioned mind has no freedom to act in the way we desire it to act. So even if we make attempt to focus our attention on the object of observation, how long we will succeed in carrying out this exercise is a doubtful thing, because of the natural tendency of the mind to always remain moving from object to object, from image to image, formed on our mental screen, in the mental body, you can say. So in the initial stages, even if we make attempt to concentrate on any single object, which is in yogic terminology referred to as pratyaya. So concentrating on a pratyaya, which we have selected out of many, because at a time mind has number of pratyayas present. Perhaps this can be better explained by a diagram, which perhaps will make the matters more clear than just describing them.
I'll share the screen
Yes.
with the
Yeah,
image.
yeah.
Just give me a
This
moment.
diagram will be shared on the screen for the
If you can allow the share screen, please.
Yes,
Yeah,
I will. Yeah, I've also made you co-host.
all right, so,
We should be able to do it now.
okay. I've forgotten how to do it actually.
Okay, otherwise we will proceed further.
Just give me a moment, please. If you can guide me as to how to go to the.
No, just click on share.
And
Your window will first you open the thing that you want to share. First you open that. Close
okay.
the Zoom window. Open what you want to share. Then open the Zoom window again. Yes, now you're sharing
I got
something.
it. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, I was sharing the first image. Yeah. It's just give, it's for loading. Yeah, this is the image.
Yeah, got it.
So,
Nice.
Thank
You can make it bigger.
Okay, yeah, okay. Enlarged it.
No, not that one, the other one. Not that one. The middle one, the square.
is it visible to all, the image?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, continue, ma'am. It's
Yeah.
okay.
It's not highlighting.
But it
as a
may not
problem.
be enlarged
Oh,
to great extent, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm not able to enlarge it because I think
Hmm.
going.
Make it into that square, ma'am. That next to that, there is a small square, no? Next to it. On the right. No, not here. On the right of that, where you are pointing to the right. Not the cross. Not the cross.
It went because it is going behind the
All right, ma'am. Leave it. Leave it. Let's continue.
Okay, I got that now. Okay. Yeah, full screen now.
So these alphabets shown in the diagram, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they represent number of pratyayas appearing in the mind. And our attempt in dharana or in concentration is to focus our attention on any one of them. Say here, we can say, suppose I want to focus my attention on the pratyaya A. Then I have to eliminate B, C, D, E, F, G. Then only I can focus my attention on A. But it's not so easy as easily I am saying it, because of the tendency of our mind to fluctuate from one image to another, and not resting on any one for a period for which I want to concentrate upon it. So for a moment I will see A, then it will be replaced by B or G or F. But as I make my efforts to focus on A, it leads to elimination of other pratyayas one by one. My first attempt may result in reducing the number from, say, A to G means 7 pratyayas are there. So that may be brought down to 6, 5, 4, like that. But then, with the decrease in the number of pratyayas, there is a possibility of mind coming to the same pratyaya many number of times. So the repetition of bringing a particular pratyaya in under our focus will increase as the number of pratyayas decrease. So we may, after trying for number of time, be able to reduce the number of pratyayas to lesser and lesser number, thereby increasing the time of focus on individual objects which are still present in the mind. So if we continue this process, we will be able to eliminate all other pratyayas and only one pratyaya may remain. But there is another thing which is there. As I am trying to focus my attention on the object, I am also aware that I am trying to achieve my object of eliminating other pratyayas and keeping only one of them in the mind. This is self-awareness. So I am conscious of myself as an observer of the pratyaya. And this is shown by the encircling of the alphabets. The alphabets, as long as they are encircled, they are covered by my awareness of the self as an observer. I hope you get me what I am trying to explain. And as long as I am aware of myself as an observer, I am not fully one with the pratyaya. And to be able to fully understand the object under meditation, it is necessary that there should be self-forgetfulness or forgetfulness of the self, which means I am totally one with the object or the pratyaya. Why this is necessary? Because I have to penetrate into the nature of the object. By just observation, I understand the appearance of the object, not the nature of the object. So, as long as the pratyaya is encircled with that self-awareness, I am perhaps only aware of the surface and not the interior of the object, the core of the object, or the essence of the object, or the nature of the object, whatever you call it. So, it is not just a process of concentrating on the object, but it is also a process of penetrating into the object beyond a superficial appearance of the object. Because that is possible when our consciousness is on the physical level. But our main task is to lift or raise our consciousness at the subtler levels. And that is possible when we not only are able to focus our attention on the object, but to do this observation with so much of intensity, ekagrata, that we forget everything else other than the object under observation, including the self. Which means I am not aware that I am an observer. Only the process of observation is going on, which means the perceiver, the object of perception, and the process of perception, all three are one. There is no differentiation or separation between the three. When that stage is reached, that is really the dhyana. Moving from dharana to dhyan involves these processes.
So this,
Huh.
when you become one, then there is no circle.
Yeah, so it is not only that encircled A, but A without circle, which is a stage we aim at. And then we can really go to the stage ultimately, which is referred to as samadhi.
सर्कल डॉटेड है, उसका मतलब क्या है? ये 6 लाइन में लास्ट दो ए डॉटेड सर्कल है.
Dotted circle shows that we are intermittently so that sometimes we are able to carry out that observation, forgetting ourselves, but then we become aware intermittently that I am observing, and I have to observe to the extent that I will forget myself. So I have really not forgotten myself. So when I have really forgotten myself, that circle will entirely go and only object will remain. And then only I have that mental energy to penetrate into the object with my full force of my mental energy. So these are actually not three different techniques. It is one technique only, but difference is in the intensity with which I am able to concentrate upon the object. It can be viewed in a slightly different way also. The first stage is a horizontal movement, when consciousness moves from object to object, or from one pratyaya to another pratyaya, which enables us to eliminate number of objects which really we don't want to observe and study. So we have to single out one object with which we want to deal with. So that is one process which is perhaps movement of consciousness in a horizontal direction, we can say. So that which not come in that movement will get eliminated, and that which remain on that plane will only be selected for observation. Now the question is what I refer to as a vertical movement, where we are concerned moving from plane to plane. There are different planes of consciousness. So on physical plane, we know only the physical reality of the object. We know the surface of the object. We know the color of the object.
Shapes and stuff.
Shades, color, touch, all these different beauty of the object or ugliness of the object, whatever it is, what we can perceive with our senses. But if we want to know the reality of the object, not external but internal, then we have to deal with this problem of moving our consciousness to subtler plane, so that the properties or characteristics relevant to those planes will come within the purview of our knowledge. So this is possible as we are able to increase the time of fixing our attention on a particular object or pratyaya for a sufficiently longer period, so that there is time for consciousness to move. It will not happen all at once, because there is that natural tendency of our mind for a one who is a beginner to always remain at the physical level, or the level on which we are functional, so far as our day-to-day life is concerned. So deliberate efforts involving continuous practice of moving our consciousness from grosser plane of existence to the subtler plane of existence should be possible for us by maintaining the necessary state of mind. Unless the mind is totally at rest, this will not happen. Normally, as I mentioned in the previous session, the Western psychology accepts this fact that mind always remains unsteady, moving, and we can only limit the movement, not stop it completely. And that is where the Eastern psychology differs from the Western psychology. Because in Eastern psychology, we have to become one with the object, which is possible only when this movement stops.
Still down.
Yeah, because it is fusion of consciousness with the object, which alone enables us to know the object fully, completely. But that again happens in stages, one by one, because different stages of consciousness reference to the movement of the consciousness from a lower plane to the higher plane, or from a grosser plane to a subtler plane. And there are different planes, as we know, just as we have different vehicles corresponding to those planes. So, movement of the consciousness from plane to plane involves one more factor which also we have to bear in mind. That though there is this movement, consciousness moves through a center of consciousness, which is normally referred to as Bindu or Laya center. So, consciousness has to be brought to that central point from which alone consciousness can move from one subplane to another subplane. And for this, it is necessary to retain the consciousness fixed for a sufficient duration of time. In the intervening period, when the consciousness moves from one plane to another plane, there is a break when we may feel lost for some time, because we are neither on the lower plane nor on the higher plane. So that period may be for a beginner a confusing state, and one may give up the attempt. So one should have the patience to remain fixed in that state of concentration for, as I mentioned, time required for consciousness to move from plane to plane. Of course, this is all applicable to the practitioners or sadhakas. For the perfected ones, this problem will not arise, because they have developed that capacity or siddhi to move from a plane. Generally, their consciousness is all the time at higher levels. So, for them to come down to a lower level is a problem, really. Moving to the subtler plane is not a problem for them. But for a beginner, it is a problem. And that is what I refer to as a vertical movement, which demands the ability to remain fixed in our attention or concentration on the object, when actually the object may not be there in the mind during the process of moving from plane to plane. So the concentration must hold that image even in absence of the image or object. Only when we develop that kind of control over the movements of the mind, it is possible to succeed in attaining that state of dhyana which enables us to move to the stage of samadhi. In samadhi, there is total absence of self-awareness. One who reaches that state of samadhi is not aware that he is in the state of samadhi. For him, it is a state of reality, what we normally call as the ultimate reality, which is normally referred to as nirbija samadhi. There is a sabija samadhi, which refers to concentration on object. That is a kind of exercise for the mind to first attempt it on object, which is a tangible object first. When we succeed on tangible object, we can take intangible object, like some idea on which we can concentrate. So after developing that ability, then we can really make that exercise for developing the capacity to remain fixed on the object or pratyaya with perfect forgetfulness of the self, with the complete fusion of the perceiver, perception, and the object of perception, or what is perceived. Where due to this fusion, there is no self existing, where therefore there is no separate self-awareness as such. There is only knowledge of the object which is there. And when it comes to self, then it deals with knowledge of the self, not knowledge of the object, where there is nothing in the mind as an object or pratyaya. So there is a kind of, you say, complete void or vacuum. And in that only there can be realization of what we refer to as self. The nature of the self can be understood only in that state, when there is no separate object or no separate observer of the object, but there is only observation, which means the knowledge pertaining to the ultimate reality of that object. And when that object is replaced by the self, it is the understanding or realization of the self. That is the self-realization, where one understands that unity of self with the universal self, or unity of Atma with Paramatma. So that is the ultimate stage of Samadhi. But we have to pass through different stages of the movement of consciousness. First, for elimination of number of objects which constantly keep the mind engaged, and thereby keep the mind also distracted or disturbed condition. That condition of mind is not really fulfilling the prerequisite of practicing yoga. A practitioner of yoga must have achieved that preliminary qualification first. He should be able to achieve chitta vritti nirodha. So, as long as that ability is absent, we will always face this problem of unsuccessful meditation. People generally give up the attempt when there are several failures, repeated failures. But each failure really makes us more capable of understanding the movements of the mind. And with that understanding also comes the ability to control the movements of the mind. So this is necessary, that we must be able to establish this ability to establish some kind of meaningful communication with the mind itself first, so that we gain the confidence that we will not face the problem of a disturbed mind. Our mind should be always ready for that exercise of dharana, dhyana, samadhi. With a disturbed mind, we cannot make any attempt to move in that direction. So, this is a question of also understanding the constitution of the mind, which we have studied in philosophy, that there is a lower mind, there is higher mind, there are 7 subplanes, 4 subplanes of which constitute the lower mind, 3 higher constitute the higher mind. Lower mind deals with concrete thoughts, higher mind deals with abstract thoughts. Now, these planes differ in their constitution in terms of the size of the particles and their ability to vibrate with the impacts which they have to respond to. Can we render our mind to a state where we can control the responses of our mind to the impacts which we receive? So it is really developing that ability to reach a state where we will be able to control the tendency of the mind to respond to every impact approaching or reaching the mind. So, for a beginner, it is an exercise of exerting the power of will to control the mind, because ultimately mind has to realize that it has existence only for the sake of the owner, the self, ego, and mind is only its instrument, and it has to function as a useful aid or instrument of the self. And by repeated exercises in that direction, we can develop that kind of understanding with the mind. So, earlier there might be conflict between the two, but as the time passes, the period of cooperation begins, where the mind starts responding to the desire or will of the self. So, if that becomes possible, then it becomes possible to achieve or attain that state of chitta vritti nirodha, because we control the movement which disturbs the mind. So that is the basic thing which we should be capable of taking. With this ability, we make mind of a kind where there is predominance of those particles which constitute the higher subplanes of the mind, and the particles of the lower subplanes are in minority. So generally it will have that tendency to move in the direction of those particles which are in prominence or which are in a dominating position over the grosser or coarser particles of the mental body. If this happens, then mind will not respond to anything which is capable of vibrating the particles of lower plane. So there will be no disturbance, even if there is disturbance outside. A yogi or a sadhaka in advanced state is not disturbed by external factors or not even by internal factors, which we discuss, like memory coming in the way of our observation or perception, or anticipation about future, our hopes, our desires. All these, all the time, distract the attention. But for an advanced yogi, these factors are non-existent practically. He always manages to remain in calm and quiet condition of the mind. The description is like, say, a river. It's a dual type of process, as I mentioned. A river is there. The river is steady, but the water is flowing. So the dual nature is to remain fixed and at the same time to remain, we can say, moving, steady and moving. Moving in the sense, though you are observing a river which is steady, you are also observing the water which is flowing. So two things are coexistent. The river is fixed in your mind, but your consciousness is moving with water. You are not allowing the river to go outside. That is not leaving the ground, but water is flowing. And this continuity has to be maintained. Generally, if the continuity is not maintained, then many times the consciousness comes to a lower plane of consciousness. So there is that ability to hold on to the attention at one place and at the same time, without losing that fixed position, you should be able to move on within the area earmarked for that pratyaya or object under observation or meditation. So it's a mechanism which involves two opposite things. And only when that is mastered, then we can move in consciousness from plane to plane. And that has been described by Patanjali as different stages of samadhi, like Savitarka Samadhi, Savichara Samadhi, Sananda Samadhi, Sasmita Samadhi. So we will discuss these aspects in the next lecture. What are the different stages of samadhi? What is actually the difference from one stage to another? Mostly these classifications are more for our understanding, but they are a continuous process. Really, there is no separation. And if we bear that in mind, then it is though appearing to be a process long drawn for a beginner, it is quite instantaneous for a yogi who has mastered all these techniques. So we can touch upon that point also in the next session, how the yogi really develops these various abilities. And also, along with development of these abilities, how it culminates into acquisition of various kinds of powers or siddhis, which is also the subject matter of the Vibhuti-pada. Today we have dealt with some sutras of the Vibhuti-pada only, but they mainly deal with dharana, dhyana and samadhi. But we will be discussing about the acquisition of capacities of powers in the form of siddhis in the course of the practice of yoga. I think here I will stop. We are perhaps open for discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sister.
Hello.
Hello. No communication.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Continue. Yes, yes. Can you stop the sharing, please?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Just again.
Wonderful exposition on the subject. Now the forum is open for discussion. The participants can ask the questions from a speaker or they can add if they want to add. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful
Thank you.
exposition.
Yeah.
Numbers का मतलब है कि यहाँ पे ये 1 2 3 4 5 are the planes of
Stages. Stages in the
consciousness.
progress in concentration. And
Yeah, I just asked whether these numbers on this side 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 are they meant for something? So
Yeah.
he explained it's the stages of consciousness.
it is elimination of the number of objects appearing in the mind at a
Hello.
time. So in first stage, we eliminate the number of objects and reduce the number to one object. And in the second stage, we try to reach a stage where the perception, perceiver, and the object of perception, all three become one, so that there is no self-awareness going along with observation. I am observing, that feeling should not be there. That awareness should not be there.
So these
Like a scientist who might be totally involved in his research work, when he totally forgets that he is a scientist or he is doing research, his whole focus is focused on the work he is doing. Like, suppose an ordinary man who is engrossed
So you are not audible.
in reading.
Yeah, but this audio is on over here.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yes,
He's
I can
audible.
hear you, but yes.
We are audible?
Okay.
Are we
Yes,
audible?
yes. Now you're audible.
Now audible, yeah. So what I am saying that these are stages. First I mentioned it is a controlling of the horizontal movement of consciousness from several pratyayas to one pratyaya. And then it is a vertical movement focusing on the nature of object at different levels of existence. From outer to inner, the more we go to the core of a thing, we are entering more and more nearer to the reality. While at the outer surface, we are more under the influence of Maya. The deeper we go, we are free from that effect of illusion. and nearer to the reality. But the complete reality comes only when it reaches that stage of Nirbija Samadhi, the ultimate stage, we are going to discuss next time.
Am I audible?
There is also another diagram, I think, whether we have sent it, that will make perhaps clear. In that diagram, there are number of concentric circles, and on the outer circumference, we have shown different objects. Some of these objects are simple objects, like say a stone. Then there may be a plant. Then the third object may be an animal. Fourth may be a human being. Fifth may be superhuman, adepts, etc. So we see at the stage of stone, perhaps that object is such that no need of going deep into the inner realities of the object, because it is not a complex thing from the point of view of understanding its nature. But when we come to say plant, then it has a more complex structure along with the sensations. So we have to move on to the astral plane there, a higher or subtler stage of consciousness. So it touches the inner circle from the outer circle. You will see in that diagram movement of consciousness from outer to the center, and progressively it goes on from A to B, B to C, C to D, and in E we find that it touches the center of consciousness or the reality. So that is actually the process which differentiates different stages of samadhi.
So we will be sharing that.
That
again
we
with
will-
three calls.
That we will
Yeah.
perhaps elaborate
Yeah,
in
we
the
will-
next lecture. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any other point?
If there is no question, no,
Yeah.
sir, what I understood, you
Huh.
said when the object of concentration or
There is,
pratyas are
its
dropped
voice
out
is-
one by one, then the consciousness expands at the subtler level. And when the knower knowledge and to be known,
The voice is
Samadhi.
breaking frequently.
that is the stage of samadhi.
सुषमा जी रिपीट
That-
अगेन, आपका वॉइस बहुत ब्रेक हो रहा था अभी. Could you repeat your comment?
What I understood, when the objects of concentration or pratyas are dropped out one by one, and the mind remains vacuum, then our consciousness expand at the subtler level, and the knowledge, knower, and subtler consciousness expand at the subtler level, and the knower, knowledge, and to be known become one. That is the stage of samadhi.
What is your question? Stage of
No, I understood. I am sharing that.
Acha, okay. So
Okay.
that stage I described as fusion of consciousness with the object.
Ji.
So
Yes.
the observer and the object are not separate. Only the process
Yes.
of observation survives. In that state,
Mm.
the observer is one with the object, and there is complete understanding of the object, becoming one with the object.
Thank you, sir.
That is what you explained in your
What I understood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
In two aspects. One, the horizontal movement of
What?
consciousness to eliminate the number of pratyas in the mind, and the vertical in order to get the full knowledge of the object selected for meditation, in order to reach the real nature of the object. So it is a dual purpose which this exercise serves. One is the concentration of the mind, ability to concentrate on one, and second is the full understanding of the one selected for observation. These are the two stages which are involved in dharana and dhyana, which ultimately
Thank you.
Lead us to the state of samadhi.
Samadhi.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Now we'll close the session
Yes.
by invoking prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhnah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukbhag bhavet. Shanti. 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 Thank you, sir, and thank you,
Thank you so
all the
much.
brothers and sisters